Hey guys, this is Caleb Swanson and welcome to the Wright Photo. This video will be another editing video, Lightroom 5, and I'll be showing you the different sliders for sharpness. There's tons of different sliders, so I'm going to be showing you what each one does. So, let me drink my coffee and we'll get to editing. Let's go. Okay guys, I'm here and I've drank all my coffee, so I'm all hyped up for this. I have a photo here that is from my last Michigan trip, and as you can see, this was taken actually with my Vivitar. It's not perfectly sharp, but it is, it has detail in it. So we're going to try moving these sliders and seeing exactly what this does to the image. And I know you could do this by your own on your Lightroom, but of course, why not just watch someone do it for you? So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm also going to give my opinion on what each slider actually does to the image and how it changes what you see, zoomed out, of course, and what it looks like when you're zoomed in. What changes does it make to the image? So let's start now. Let me get this on to the file. I'm going to be focusing on around this area. You can see all these different fibers. I'm going to try to make this image as big as possible for you. So what you see here are the fibers, and I'm going to try just first to change the actual amount of the sharpness. And you can go super high, but it does get kind of grainy in there. That's what it kind of does to the image to make it look sharper. So this is the overall amount of the sharpening, and radius, detail, those two are kind of added on to it. So with the amount of sharpening, I usually have it around 60 and 70 because that gives a pretty good range, but enough that it's not crazy too grainy for the noise reduction to cancel out. And of course, I'm also going to show you noise reduction because that's kind of part of sharpening. So I'm just going to keep it there. You can see it's just the overall sharpness of the photo. Now, when it comes to radius and detail, that has some character. Let me put the radius at the default. I'm going to do detail first. Now that changes a lot of the photo. If you want to zoom in even more, let me go to 2:1. There we go. You can see that does a lot when it's put all the way to the top. So that pretty much changes the overall detail of the photo. When I had this off, and let me get this. Here we go. And I had the amount of sharpening up. That doesn't, yeah, it does help with the detail, but it's mostly just sharpening. This gets the tiny little details of the photo a lot stronger. You can see that, especially like right here, that the little fibers just stand out more, and they're more of a perfect line, much more sharp. But of course, I don't want to go too far on this because it also induces a lot of grain. That's how it works. So I usually have this around 40, kind of in line with the amount of sharpness. Now the radius is even cooler because radius is noticed from the very zoomed out. It pretty much, let me zoom in and show you what this does close up. You can see it kind of, it's not exactly grain, it's not exactly sharpening the photo when you zoom in, but when it's zoomed out, radius kind of makes it kind of makes it blocky, not exactly what detail and the amount of sharpening does. This is kind of much different because it changes what it looks like from zoomed out. And I don't know if you can see this, but there is a difference. If I have radius at 0 and I turn it up, there's a slight bit more of a kind of a clarity type thing going on, except it's not the clarity character. If we go up to clarity, show you what that does. Yeah, it's not that crazy. It's trying to focus on the sharp, making it sharp instead of making the darks go way down and the highlights of the edges go way up. So I like radius a lot because it kind of changes what it looks like zoomed out, not just what it looks like when you zoom in on the photo. So that I keep pretty high, but not super high, because that can, when you zoom in, if you zoom in on a photo, it kind of blocks it up, I guess. That's how the best way to put it. So I put it around 2.5, and that seems to work pretty well, especially if you have something where it obviously needs to look much sharper, even though if you zoom in, it looks sharp when you zoomed in, but it's just not looking sharp when you zoomed out. I throw that radius pretty high because it helps a lot with that. And let me see, masking. This is something I don't use because I don't know. I would like to keep the overall image sharp, even the blurry parts, because it's kind of confusing where exactly this is masking off. Anyways, masking, if you turn it up, it tries to determine what parts are sharp. So it sharpens the sharper parts and masks out the parts that are not sharp, the blurry areas, because you don't necessarily need the blurry areas to be sharp, because they're blurry. So that's what that does. I know there's a trick to being able to see what areas exactly it's affecting, but at the moment I don't know what that is, sorry. But I never usually use this, so I didn't really pay attention to that part. Now let's go to noise reduction. This is a really big part too, because oftentimes your images are noisy, even though our cameras are catching up. And so this is probably one of the best working tools in Lightroom. Not to say that the other ones are bad, but to say that just noise reduction works great on here. And if you throttle it all the way up, it makes this kind of dreamy look, and it also kind of blurs it out. So you do not want, if you wanted to have that smooth, polished effect, it's not sharp though. So for that, I usually have it at 0, of course. It's way too grainy, so I have it around 40 or 50. That still keeps it sharp. Right in the middle is for me the best. But of course, if you have a really noisy image, you may have to push that to 70. I don't know. And detail, you see detail here and you see detail here. That gets kind of confusing. But pretty much in the noise reduction area, detail just reinforces the sharpness in the photo, even though you've added noise reduction. I always put that all the way to 100%. And I don't know, I actually haven't seen any difference when I change contrast, but I've watched a video. This guy always puts it at 75, so that's what I'm doing. Even though I don't see, maybe it's sort of the same thing as detail. It's just reinforcing the contrast when it's being lost in this and noise reduction. Now the color, detail, and softness in the Lightroom 5. This was a late addition to it, which was smoothness. I'm going to talk about that later. Color gets rid of the color noise, and you definitely want that up, because at least in my camera, you can get a lot of color noise, which is not the grain where you see speckles, but where there's like a pattern of red, green, blue spots speckled all over the place, and you definitely don't want that. I'd rather have grain than color noise. So, detail, another detail. So, and this one doesn't do as much as this detail does. You can see a big difference in what that does. You can see the edges are a lot more refined. But in this one, I don't see much of a difference. But I put all of these all the way up. It helps, I bet, a lot to have these up, especially the color. You want that up because you want to get rid of that color noise. Smoothness, that just makes the overall noise reduction smoother. It's like detail. It doesn't make too much difference whether you have a full 100 or at 0. But I keep all of these at 100. They're important to have those. It's like a switch. 100 is on, 0 is off. There's still not much difference, but I recommend having it at 100. So, that's what I think. That's how I do my sharpening, and those are the differences. What I think each of these sharpening sliders are. And of course, this little image right here that zooms in really far helps you a lot. I always, if I want to zoom out, have a zoomed out version and a super zoomed in version, I love this right here. And you can zoom out and pick the location you want. Maybe you want it to be down here. So, yeah, that's how to use sharpening. Go try it out for yourself. See what works for you. Develop a technique for your sharpening section in here. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Go check out my other videos, including one I just put out. I'm currently editing, actually, just to let you know. A video test, a footage test for my new Vivitar lens. I can't wait to get that out. I know it's probably out already as you're watching this. And I have other videos, recent videos, my camera, cheap camera, which cameras to buy that are inexpensive but still high quality, and a whole bunch of other videos, my review on the lens. So make sure you go check those out. Thanks a lot. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any ideas whatsoever, please type them up into a comment and post it on this video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Bye.